Hey everyone, that time of week again. It is Marketplace Monday. We are on episode 3, and we're going to start episode 3 off a little bit differently. Usually I go into the dashboard right away, and you can see if you're looking at my screen that I actually can see the new little widget of information that the Sky Mavis team has put up here. It used to give us the average selling price. Now it's telling us how many Axies are sold. I have a feeling that this is, a decent amount of Axies, 17,500 in a day, but there's not a really, I don't have a benchmark to work with, so I'm going to keep my eyes on that and let you guys know what I think, how that moves, etc., what I think a healthy number is. But I think we all can agree that $3.98 million worth of transactions in a day is pretty spicy. But as I said, we're going to change this up a little bit. $3.98 million of transactions probably seems like quite a bit of growth, but when you consider the fact that Ethereum right now is considerably lower than it was even just a week ago, we're sitting at about 1900 American dollars here. 2400 if you're on the northern side of the border there, up here in Canada. Yes, unfortunately our dollar is not very strong, but when you're looking at this and you're considering the fact that, just a week ago, if we look at it here, Ethereum was up around like the 24, 25, and from a Canadian point of view, it was up around almost 3,000. We're in a completely different area. This is a huge drop, and that being taken into consideration, this 3.98 million is considerably more Axies being bought than a week ago. So growth is still steadily increasing, and I think that from at least an Axie point of view, not an investor's point of view at the moment, I know there's a lot of people shaking, but from Axie's point of view, the fact that Ethereum has come down in price is going to actually open up the floor a little bit for new players to come in, because it's not going to seem like quite as steep of an investment. So for all my people who are longtime holders and really big on working the market, this is a really, really important time. I feel like, this is a time to capitalize. While Ethereum is low, we're going to have more people coming into the market for the first time, and that's going to give a lot of people an opportunity to sell off Axies. Maybe not as many floor Axies, because I think with all the guides, all the communities, a lot of people have a lot more resources now. So I have a feeling that floor Axies are still going to kind of plummet until we have like a burn system in place. But for all the Axies that are being bred that even are like, 85, 90% purity, like they don't have to be 100%, these Axies are going to have a chance to be sold in the near future here. That's, again, just my insight, just my speculation on it. I can't say that that is fact, but that's the way I'm looking at it, and that's what I see based off of this movement. Now, I am going to do a video in the near future here about Ethereum, because I've had a lot of people talk to me about it. I've been in the Ethereum game for quite a while. I've been in the crypto game for a while, and the investing game even longer than both. But I do have to say, there's a lot of people who are concerned right now. Don't worry about it. We've had a lot of not really real money in these specific projects that has been liquidated over the last little bit. I can't say all of it's not real. I know that with the news in China, of course, a lot of the Chinese retail investors have pulled out. That's really unfortunate, because no matter your opinion on China, there is a lot of money there, and the Chinese push on the economy and markets, etc., they make a big difference. So I'm not going to go too deep into Ethereum on this one. I don't want to go deep in this when I have a video planned in the future, but stay tuned for that, which brings me to a point. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that, because it will be coming up. Probably going to be a very insightful video for a lot of people who are curious, so make sure you check that one out. But let's get back into the marketplace here. So as always, we start with the dashboard. We take a look through and just see, what's selling, what's being listed. What I can say that I've noticed, and I think this is a really good thing, prices seem to be going up. Now I know, again, Ethereum is going down, so our price is really going up. I leave that for you to decide. Me, myself, I look at Ethereum and the US dollar price a little bit differently. They aren't synced in my mind, because I deal a lot with Ethereum, with long-term prospects on Ethereum as a whole. So for me, I look at a lot of my pricing from an Ethereum point of view, but if you look at it from a USD point of view, prices haven't gone up that much, but I do think that the selling price of Axies is going up a little bit. So that is a good thing. I'm happy to see that. That does go to show that, at least the good Axies are being paid for, and we're all happy when that happens, right? But on the type of Axies, let's take a quick look here. Of course, Aquas are always going to be big bosses. We got a nice mech here too. We've got a couple more. No, actually, I feel like we have less tanks than usual. Usually like half of this first screen is tanks, but let's check the next one just to be sure before we actually put that verdict out. Yeah, you know what? I gotta say, the plants, I was expecting a few more plants. Oh, look at this goofy little Terminator with a carrot. That's kind of funny. Yeah, no, I was expecting more plants in this. You know what it might mean? It might just mean that at the moment, you've had a lot of breeders purchasing in, buying in for their breeding pools, rather than a lot of new players and scholarships coming in to actually buy for their teams. So I'm not going to say by any means that that takes plants off of the breeding pool, but this is a little unique. I'm used to seeing more plants in each one of these pages. It looks like there are a ton of beasts, though. Oh my goodness, are there ever a lot of beasts here? I don't know exactly what that's from, but I know that I did mention before that I think beasts are going to be coming back into the meta a little bit. And I don't know if this is just a factor of that or an actual fact that aligns with what I said. You know, I really do see beasts coming back into the meta here. So I think keep your eyes on beasts in the near future. I know that good beasts are really expensive. Mediocre beasts are really, really cheap. So it can be a pretty volatile market to be in if you're going to be breeding beasts. But that is something to look at. Not as many reptiles either. I have been noticing that the Terminator Reptile has definitely slowed down its movement. Not as many people are jumping in thinking, oh, buy a Terminator and I'll get to 1600 MMR, because that's just not the way it works right now. There are a lot of different play styles that can counter or compete with Terminators, so they're not as oppressive as they were before, which is great because I like to have a nice balance in the market, or not in the market per se, but in the game in general. I like to have a balance. You know, I don't really care for super strong metas where just one class or one type completely owns it. One thing I would like to see come back in a little bit is antennas. I did think that antennas were cool, but in all honesty, I think antenna comps are a little hard to play because a lot of people are learning how to compete against them, and it becomes a little bit of a coin toss. Okay, the enemy is clearly just going to pump their energy into you. Are you going to be able to utilize your antennas effectively and your cards effectively to force them into a really, really lean form of gameplay, and then battle up against them and win? But I think that there are starting to be a little bit of differences in the antenna playstyle as you get up. Like just recently, I played against an antenna comp at like 2450 MMR, top 200 in the leaderboard, and they crushed me. I was not, it was a really unique gameplay. I wasn't expecting the way that he was holding his antennas and playing them at certain times. And I have to actually, you know, put I gotta give him props because that went to go show me that, you know, even though I had kind of written antennas off at a certain MMR, that they were still there. So not going to write that off at all. But one thing that I really, really wanted to do in this one is I wanted to jump in and I wanted to start looking at a couple of builds here. I told you guys already this is going to be a special Mech, Dawn, and Dusk one. And don't worry, I'm following along through with that. And we're going to start with the most popular, which is the Mechs. Mechs, there are a lot of them. The one way you can determine that, by the way, just for anybody who doesn't know, go up to select the specific type you're looking for, go to force sale here, click all, and it'll let you know. Okay, there are, I think there's something about, yeah, about 8,800, so about 9,000 mechs in existence. And then if you want to swap that out, go over to Dawn. Dawn is the least, I believe, at like 27, 28. And now, does that mean that Dawns are the best? Dawns are the rarest? In all honesty, I don't see a lot of Dawns. I just think that people haven't quite figured them out, maybe. Mechs, for the most part, you see them built like beasts, right? Whenever you see a mech, it's either a beast or a mech. They're kind of synonymous, so I think people have figured mechs out for the most part. I don't think people have figured Dawns out. People started to work Dawns like these kind of like quasi-birds, and to be honest, it just didn't work. So I don't think that Dawn birds per se are the best because they do lack a little bit of speed. And then let's check out Dusks. Dusks are one of my favorites. I'm sure you can imagine that. Oh, actually, no. Dusks are the most popular here. I take that back. I stand corrected. I always thought that it was Mechs, but I guess as of recently, and it would make sense because I've seen a lot of them in gameplay now, that Dusks have taken it over. So for anybody who is not familiar with this, Dusks, Mechs, and Dawns were not originally in the game as a type that you can have as an origin Axie. The only way you were able to make them, and in the beginning it was a really tedious process, was to breed a pure 6 of 6 body part and another pure 6 of 6 body part together of two different classes, and you had a 33% chance to get a Dusk, Mech, or Dawn. These classes were Reptile and Aqua for Dusk, they were Beast and Bug for Mech, and then they were Plant and Bird for Dawn. Now you're probably thinking, okay, Reptile and Aqua, that works, right? Like we do that. Bug and Met or Bug and Beast, we can do that too. But like plants and bird, yeah, that's crazy. I think that's another reason why Dawns aren't seen as much, because it's just so hard to theory craft around that, right? I have plants and birds, so then what do you do from there? Well, what ended up happening, at least on the dust side, because I'm sure you guys have seen dusks or tanks, is once you have a big enough supply of them, you can start to do a little bit of crossbreeding with other types that aren't in that pure 33% chance pool, and you can start to add some parts to them. But let's jump into this a little bit. I want to start, as I said, with mechs, so let's jump into it. You guys know that a lot of the mechs that you're seeing are primarily beast-focused mechs. So one of the things that I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go over what I see as some of the most common mechs out there. The first one, of course, is going to be the one everybody knows, and it is the Rimp mech. Now, I want to show you guys the stats here and give you my opinion on it so you can see why I think somebody might choose a Rimp mech over a Rimp Beast, and also vice versa, why somebody might choose a Rimp Beast over a Rimp Mech. So let's choose one of these. I'm not too worried about the, by the way, you won't see a purity chance on these because, ooh, that's 100% pure. Ooh, this one's nice, but that's because I'm on all, I'm not on for sale. Give me a sec. I was like, what is this 100% pure in the beginning? This is a little bit more like it, I think. Here we go. It's still pretty pure, but it's a little bit different, and of course you see the price reflects that it is a little bit more pure. So the first thing that you can see with mechs, and this is one of the selling points on them, don't kid yourself, is the color. Mechs are normally a gray tone color, and they can look really cool. I'm actually a big fan of like the fluffy black colored mechs, or not quite black, I'd say they're like dark gray colored mechs, but I like these ones, these fluffy dark gray colored ones. Now this one is super, super expensive, pure triple nut. I guess triple nut because of the ears, but it's a double nut essentially. It is 100% pure, which is strong, but it's 6 of 7 breeds. I'd never pay this much for it. This is completely overpriced, so just so you guys are aware of that, I would never recommend this specific purchase, but it looks cute, right? It looks very cute. So what you see here is health pretty much the same. Beasts and mech are going to have the same health pretty much. A lot of classes, once you get all the different cards in place, depending on the card parts you have, it's going to have a pretty standardized set of health and a pretty standardized set of speed. Where you see a lot of differences is in the skill usually, and morale as far as beasts go in comparison to mechs. So what you're probably seeing here right away is, yes, this being a pure beast, so to speak, has more speed. Normally a pure beast would have 41 speed. This one here has 45 speed, which means that from a base, the mech gets 4 extra speed on top of a beast. That's pretty appealing because a lot of people would want to go and get a beast and maybe have it bred with some bird ears, bird eyes, etc., or potentially aqua ears, aqua eyes, whatever you might want to give it a little bit more speed so it can go ahead of some of these unique speedy reptiles, etc. So if you go with a mech, you don't actually have to do that. You can stay pure, you can pretty much sub any ears in here, and you're going to keep yourself around that 42, 43 to 45 speed. And now if you were to go and do a little bit more, you could go even higher on the speed bar. I think that like 45 to 50 range of speed though, it's kind of a gray line. It's almost being in limbo because there aren't a whole lot of Axies in play that compete in that speed range. Once you get up to about 45, even 46 I may say at times, you've pretty much hit the top of the mid-speed Axies, so at that point you don't have to worry about more speed. You might want to consider some of the other stats. So that's just something to keep in mind there. But you're all seeing something else here. This skill. Yes, mechs have insane skill. So skill essentially translates to combo damage. So when you're using a bunch of cards of the same type, depending on your skill, you are going to do extra damage. Now, don't quote me on this entirely. It's just based off of my experience. But in all honesty, I don't really see this making a big difference on the mech beasts. Once you end up using your 4-card Rimp combo or double nut Ronin Rimp combo, you are going to pretty much do the same damage regardless as a beast. So I don't see this as a huge selling point now. But what I can say is if you look at what determines who goes first in initiative, if you were up against a beast or reptile or anything else that had the same speed as you, even if it was a lower stock number, the skill comes in and is determined before stock number, morale, etc. So actually, you do get to go first because you have higher skill. So that is something to consider, but it's not really a make or break on there. And then Of course, one of the things that I think is kind of debilitating for this is the fact that it only has 45 morale. So 45 morale is a little low for a beast. You're not going to be critting as much. Now you might be thinking, okay, Guru, but like it has Ronin. Do you really need that? And I agree. In all honesty, I do agree. And that's why I wanted to show you guys the Rimp Beast, because I think that when it comes to Rimp Beast mech, that when it comes to a mech beast, it's a little bit better to work with Ronin, because although a normal beast might not need Ronin to guaranteed crits, a mech really might. Another way you could do it is you can try and use Confidence, Self-Rally. I'll throw that up just so you guys can see it. I'm sure there's a couple with it. But even then, I just don't think that it's going to make as big of a difference as you're going to want here. Just give me a sec. Oh, this one's actually really cute, and it's got Confident. I like this a lot. It's probably a bit of a mutt because of the price being zero breed, but you never know. You never know. It could be one of those glitched ones as well. Dishwasher is the name. That's funny. You know, it's not too bad comparatively for a zero breed at 0.15. It's really not that bad. The speed is insane, as you can see here. 47 speed because it has the Robin eyes, and the morale is a little bit lighter, of course, because you don't get the 3 morale from the beast eyes, but this is a pretty good mech beast if you were going to go for it. I wouldn't think this is too bad. Now, one thing to consider here is that when you're running a single nut, it can be a little hard to capitalize on the passive because you essentially need to pull both available nut cards out of the deck. Just keep that in mind if you're going to be running Confident. It might be better to do a different tail like Rice, Nightsteel, or Cottontail, something of the sort. But then again, once you have this combo, do you really need Self-Rally? Not really. I don't think as much. Now, you might be thinking, okay, well, what if I do Dual Blade? And I don't think that's bad. You could actually run a Dual Blade with a Confident run here. Let me see if I can pull the Nutcracker mouth off so I can show you guys a couple of them. I'm also going to pull Nut Throw off. What do I have on here? Is it going to show me anything? Oh, it just showed me this one. Oh, yeah, this guy. He's been on the market for a while, this one. But it's cool. You know what? Let me show you it because I can. I am going to show you this one. I can't say anything negative about this specifically. I do think the genes are a little mess, which makes this price a little bit higher, but I understand why he's selling it like this. I did eye this beast up a little bit, or mech up a little bit, and I just decided against it, specifically because I didn't think it was optimized well enough for the price. But let me just show you here what I think is a bit more of an ideal mix-up. So get rid of the Ronin, throw something like Jaguar or Revenge Arrow on the back, have the Confident Self-Rally, the Dual Blade here, and then of course the Nightsteel Rice on the back. I think that this is a really good setup if you're going to run Confident. But again, let me just bring you guys to the point of morale only being at 42. That does actually cause quite a bit of grief overall, because when you consider the fact that Dual Blade is most effective, now it does have 130 damage, don't get me wrong, I accept that, but it is most effective when it can capitalize on the 250% damage crits. Well, you're kind of putting yourself in a bit of an uphill battle by going this route. You have to use 2 self-rallies because you're going to want to get that boost every single time to get up to about 60 crit or 60 morale, which would give you the same crit as a beast. So you could essentially still pull this off, but it's going to be a little bit harder to pull off. But you know what? Let's pretty much wrap up Mechs there. I wanted to show you guys my opinion on Mechs. I know I went over it a little bit before, but this is just a little bit more thorough. So let's reset this filter, and we're going to finish with Dawns because, again, I still don't quite have Dawns figured out yet, but let's jump into Dusks. So I'm going to show you guys Dusks here. Just give me one moment. Need some water. Okay, it's really hot in Vancouver right now. Maybe not for some of you like, you know, Southeast Asian people who are living in extremely hot, almost tropical climates, but it's pretty hot for us Canadians up here who deal with the Great White Winter. So, Dusks. There are a couple of ways you're going to see Dusks. One of the most common Dusk builds you're going to see is a tank. So you can build the Dusk like a tank. Let me show you a little bit here. I'll show you what I'm talking about. You can go a couple of different routes. You can go with the watering can, the pumpkin. Now here's where things get a little bit different. I don't usually think that things like Sirius or things that are really, really big about getting energy at the end, like the skies, etc., are as good on Dusks because Dusks are faster. What I think are better on Dusks are healing cards, such as like Zigzag, Herbivore. Let me bring this up really quick for you. I'll even show you Shiitake just because it is there. Okay, maybe not. Oh, there's 2 eyes in it. And then I'll even bring up Rosebud just so that we have it. No, you know what? I'm gonna keep the horn off because I think if I put Rosebud on there, it's going to limit our options too much. So let's just run it like this. Perfect. So let me show you guys what one of the most common tank builds for Dusks are, and that would be something like this right here. This is very, very common. This one's a little intense down here, but I like it as well. I will bring it up. You could go a little bit different, and you could go with something that's kind of almost like quasi-brawler type if you want, but I don't think that if you're going to play a tank, that's exactly what you want. I was highlighting this one here with the Mary. When I say that, you could go that route. You could also get Tiny Dino on it. That's not bad, but one of the main reasons why people want to go healing on it is because Dusks tend to have slightly higher speed. This one's a little slow, I will say. I think this one's a touch slow. Let me bring this one up. Here we go. This is a little bit better at 42. So 42 speed, you are going to go before Beast. You're going to go before most reptiles, except for some of like the min-maxed versions of them. And it's going to allow you to get things such as the Shiitake Heal, Drain Bite, and the Healing Aroma off before the damage comes between turns so that you can heal up and take more damage as a tank. So this is one of the really useful ways that I see people playing Dusk, and I see it be very effective. Now, Dusks on average tend to be a little bit harder to breed. You can probably see by these particular genes here, they're not quite as strong, but I do actually think that you could get a lot of results out of a Dusk. Now, that being said, I think this is a little bit overkill on the heal. Like, this was built 100% just to be a heal bot. I like that it does have the Aqua ears here, so that it does have a little bit more speed. But I think if you were going to go a route of a Dusk, you might want to go a little bit, roundabout. Like, something like this isn't bad either with the Cerastus, but you do have a lot of speed, so keep that in mind. You don't want to be using Cerastus if you're going to be faster than most of the stuff you're going to be hitting, right? Because then it's kind of useless. So you could go for something a little bit more like this one, but again, this one's going to be a little bit slower. Let me see if I can find you guys one that I really like here. I like this one with a snake jar. That one's not too bad. I'd love to find something with some... This one's really cute. I like the way that one looks. And then strawberry. This one's got strawberry. There's a bunch of pages of them. I can show you guys another one if I don't find it here. This one's cool, but I'm not a big fan of beach on Dusks. I do think it's good with the herbivore, but again, I'm not the biggest fan of beach. So let's go to the second page, get a little bit more expensive here. Something like that's not bad. That one's not too bad. You got a little antenna Dusk here with the Ranchu Tail. Ranchu Tail actually is an aqua card that gives you chill. This one is absolutely confused. Cactus, which wants to go last, and then Koi, which makes you faster. Definitely a little confused on this one. Maybe this was a misbreed, maybe it was a mutation, I don't know. But either way, it is kind of funny how that comes out. Okay, let's look what else we got here. So it looks like a lot of them are kind of running this way. Let me bring these two up. I think these are really good, so I want to show you these ones. So the first one I brought up, 41 speed. This isn't bad. 41 speed, you've got the Healing Rosebud, you have the Herbivore Mouth, and yeah, you don't have a lot of energy generation, right? Yes, but you have Watering Can here, and this is why I wanted to choose this one, is I think Watering Can is exceptionally good on Dusks because you don't usually have a lot of energy generation that you can capitalize on at the end of the turn order, so you got to find other ways to get a little sneaky with it. Now this one is a slight bit slower, so you might end up going after a couple of beasts because the skill is so low. So it is one thing to take into consideration. You might want to look at one that has like aqua ears here, and then all of a sudden you're at 44 speed. Now again, just to pay homage to this, look at these genes. These genes are all over the place. You can see a lot of reptile and aqua still in these because that's how you get a Dusk. But it is good as a PvP if you wanted to go something like this. It's got the zigzag mouth too, which is a little bit easier to pull off because you don't just have to hit plants. Just to show you guys here, when you have the herbivore, which I like because I think the stats make it valuable, is this one only heals if you hit a plant. So that is something to take into consideration. I do think they should change this up to be plants, reps, and Dusks, but I think that might make it a little broken. Maybe we'd see a bit of a tone down on the damage, but when you consider that Drain Bite's 60-60 and it heals on everything, I don't think it's too far of a stretch, but either way, I still think it's good. This one is also really good because the double heal with the pumpkin, you don't have the energy generation, so you'd want to fit that in somewhere else in the comp. But you've also got Snake Jar. Snake Jar is pretty strong. If something breaks your shield, and it would normally do a bunch of damage on top of it. Snake Jar stops that. It nullifies all damage on top of the shield breaking. So if you have 20 shield and an attack that does 150 damage is about to hit you, it completely nullifies the remaining amount of the damage and just breaks your shield and keeps your health intact. So it can be a very, very strong card to use. But yeah, this is one of the Dusks that I see here. Pretty good Dusk. I don't mind going this route, but as I said, you go a little bit more from the heal side if you're going to go that route. Let me jump back in here and show you another Dust that I've been seeing around, which is pretty strong. And that is Dusts that are kind of built a little bit more like, let me bring it up, like other classes that are brawlers. So one of them is the Reptile Dust, which I'm assuming you guys can imagine because they are bred from reptiles. So I do see a lot of Dusks running a Tri-Spike build here. And not just Tri-Spike, also Backliner, but I'm just going to show you this one for now. So I see some Dusks that are running the Tri-Spike, Chomp. Let me bring up a little bit more here. Ooh, not a whole lot here, actually. It's pretty light. Only just a few, and they're really expensive. Of course, this one with Gila and Cerastus is really expensive. Gila is a good card to have on a fast Axie, so when you have it on something like a Dusk, which has naturally higher base speed, you're going to be able to utilize it, because let me just show you here really quick. Going to have to refresh this. I wouldn't suggest this. Again, this thing is really, really expensive. I do not think that it's a good Axie to consider for this price. AK selling it, don't mean to shut you down, AK. I know this is a unique Axie, but I wouldn't recommend people to buy it. It's just too expensive. This is more of a collector Axie. I bet you the jeans are good too, aren't they? Yeah, they're pretty good. So the reason why Gila is really good is because it applies attack negative to poison targets. So you can utilize this to really do some damage and actually mess somebody up so that they can't do damage back to you. Because 100 damage, 55 shield, it is a reptile card too, so it does extra damage to birds, aquas, dawns. Dawns I'm not too sure about, but birds and aquas do a lot of damage. So putting attack minus to those things, absolutely fantastic. Plus it has a Tri-Spikes combo that would one-hit pretty much any reptile or bird. To be very honest with you, I think I was facing this actually, I think I might have faced this one, AK. I don't know if I faced you a little while back, but I remember getting attacked by a reptile or a Dust that was identical to this, and it slapped me. I got hit by this neurotoxin and it ruined me. The surprise invasion was there too. I really do think I've fought against this before, and it was not fun. So I see why you're selling it so much, but this is another one I see. Let me pull the Chomp off, though, because I think the Chomp has given us some grief here. Yeah, let me go to a couple other ones. So you can see a little bit different. There's this cute little antenna Dusk. I think it's such a chunky little monkey over here. There is also a Incisor Dusk over here as well, which is something to consider. Give me one moment here. Okay, perfect, perfect. So there is an Incisor Dusk over here with a Wall Gecko and a Kataro. I do see a decent amount of Kataros as well. Kataro is good, but one thing to consider is that Kataro only works if you hit something that is faster than you, and Dusks tend to be pretty fast. So if you are going to go with something that has Kataro, you probably want to make sure that you're not going to be attacking a bunch of things that are going to be less than your speed, or you're going to be pretty much gutting yourself as far as the utilization of that card goes. So although this thing is super cute, I might not recommend it just because of that. It still has a lot of combo potential, so don't write it off entirely, but just because of that, it is a little bit harder to use, so keep that in mind. Now, as I said, you can sub out Tri-Spikes here, so let me show you guys the Chomp ones I've been seeing now, because the Chomp ones are pretty good. I think I might have seen like one or two Cute Bunnies, but Cute Bunny comps are really, really unique. Maybe we can go over them in a later video and show you guys the Cute Bunny comps here. Okay, Chomp. I need a little bit more than Chomp. Let's see if we got anything with Green Thorns here for sale. That tends to be a really common build with Chomp. Okay, we've got a couple. They are a little expensive. This one's kind of cute. It's like a Terminator with Green Thorns, but it's got double zero cost. Don't know if I'm really on board with that. This one is awesome. Now, I know this one is expensive, but I think this is a really, really good Dusk. And I'll tell you guys why I think it's a good Dusk is because it is that stereotypical strong brawler reptile type, but look at this insane speed. And then look at that health too. Like, sure, you're giving up skill, you're giving up morale, you might not be critting as much. You know, the skill, I don't really see it affect the combos too much, but this speed and this health is absolutely insane. So this is one of the things that I'm noticing, is that people are trying to run reptiles in different speedier lights. We've seen it with some of the reptiles, some of the tri-spikes, thorny allergic reptiles. I think there's only a few, and they're super expensive or not being sold, but I'm noticing that people are doing this, so definitely keep your eyes on these. It's an expensive market to be in, and it's an expensive kind of Axie to even get your hands on, but these are super, super strong. So this will be something I definitely keep my eyes on. It's got everything you want in a reptile, but just tons of speed and insane health. So this is a really, really cool Dusk. I like it a lot. I almost want to buy it, but I don't got the liquid to throw at that right now. I've got all the scholarships coming, so that's where my mind is right now. But I really, really like this. And last but not least, although it's going to be the least amount of time because I don't know it as well, let's jump into Dawns really quick. So what I want to do with Dawns is I want to give you guys an idea as to how I look at something I don't know. You know, I was able to go into the Dusks, go into the Mechs, and start putting parts in there to directly put me onto the Axies that are similar to what I want. However, I don't really know about Dawns, right? And you guys will probably deal with a lot of different types that you don't know about as well. So let me show you how I'd go about starting to search for something that I don't really know that much about. And this is how I do it. So 9 pages of available Dawns right now. So what I'm going to do is I am actually going to go about bringing me to the middle of it. I'm going to go one below the middle because we're on an uneven amount here. So I am going to go to page 4. And you can do this with anything. Say there's 50 pages. Well, I'd go to like page 25, and I'd just take a look at what I see and where the price point is. I would look at this and be like, okay, I see a lot of bird builds. I see some goofy little like aqua builds here. This one actually seems surprisingly strong, funny enough. I do also see, of course, plant parts in a lot of these because you have to build them out of plants. But what I'm noticing is that a lot of people seem to be running these in a sense of birds. So it looks like the mid-level here, and I kind of mentioned it before, is that a lot of people run these as birds, so this makes sense to me. It looks like a lot of the medium ground people are running birds. Now, I actually do kind of like this one, so I'm going to bring it up here. It's a dark colored one. I'm not a big fan of the Trump cards, and it's not due to political views. It's because I don't actually like the card. I don't want to get into politics on YouTube, that's for sure. But the card itself, I just don't really care for it too much. But this moveset is a banger. Jeez, holy. This thing does some deeps to you. So if you got this thing off and paired it with, say, like a Disguise frontliner or some sort of like a Thorny Reptile midliner, this thing could definitely pop off. So this thing has some decent damage, but it's an absolute mutt. You can see from here, you know, this thing doesn't really have any rhyme or reason. It's a mix of bird, a little bit of aqua. The speed is at 48, which is in that limbo zone. So this really pays testament to what we see a lot in Dawns, is that they're kind of confused. And it's not the players by any means, it's the class, it's the type. The type doesn't really have a place at the moment, but a lot of the times what you'll see is just these high damagers. Now, back to what I was saying. If you were to look at this and see, okay, at about 0.13, 0.12, I'm seeing a lot of bird cards, a couple of aqua cards, maybe a few plant pieces mixed in here or there. I would then go to the final page, at page 9. I would look at what the most expensive Axies of that type are. And no, this doesn't make, like, this does not surprise me at all. When it comes down to things like secret classes, seeing something loaded up with Japanese parts like the origami wings or the, I don't remember what it's called. I think it starts with the T for the beach horn. Let's check it out here really quick. I'm actually curious. It is called, no. It's Yorishiro. So it's the Yorishiro beach horn. It has the kawaii mouth as well. If you guys don't know, that's the cute bunny with the little kawaii marks on it, which are kind of cute. It's very anime. This thing is kind of cool. Now, I don't think it's strong per se. It's got the 00 cost, but it is kind of cool looking. So I think when it comes to Dusks, one thing we're seeing in the higher up here is they kind of just go for the look. And why wouldn't they? Dusks look awesome. Look at that color, right? This one is a full-on beast, which is really, really cool. I actually like this a lot. It's even got the Pocky horns, which are pretty cool. Then we've got this super, super cute one here. I think this was actually one of the ones that was submitted to like what the cutest Axie is contest, so it's kind of cute. But when you go to the last page and all you see are a bunch of unaffordable dream Axies with unique mystic parts or whatever it might be, go back a page. Sometimes that happens. I wouldn't really look at that as a benchmark by any means. I would just say, hey, look, that's a lot of people who are just selling really unique and collectible Axies for a premium. But I go to the one before, and sure enough, when we go to the one before, we still see a lot of birds. What I'm also seeing, though, which doesn't actually surprise me, is I'm seeing a few more of the beast builds. So I think that makes sense to me. Let me just jump into as pure of a beast as I can. I think this one is, so let's bring it up. 2.5 Ethereum is a huge premium to pay for this, so I don't really know if I get my hands on that unless you're like a really high test collector and you like being the first on the market with something. But this isn't too bad. I still think, again, it's a little confused here because it's 41 speed, it's 39 skill, 49 morale. It's kind of really similar to the mechs that we were looking at, but just a slight bit slower. So I've really got to put that out there. I still think that when it comes down to it, Dawns are kind of just a fashion statement more than they are a usable Axie. So bear that in mind when you're looking at Dawns, because I don't think you're going to get yourself a real banging brawler Dawn that's just going to tear through the arena and be one of your main top of the leaderboard picks for your Axies here. So just make sure that you work with that when you go. And then what I will also do is, just to wrap this up here, because I went over those three and I don't want to make this too long, is I just want to touch on the point of what we're going to do next time. I love to give you guys a little bit of feedback and a little bit of insight into what's coming on the next one. Next Marketplace Monday is going to be a bit of a unique spin on Marketplace Monday. I'm actually going to make it a land edition. So we are going to look at land, and no better time to look at land than when Ethereum is low. So I don't know what Ethereum is going to be like next week. Cryptocurrency is extremely volatile, so it could be anything in a matter of days, but next week we're going to do land. I'm going to go through it, explain it a little bit more, and show how I'm starting to look at land, because I'm honestly seeing land as a prospective asset of mine in the near future now that I've built up my Axie portfolio and started to run scholarships, etc. So we are going to do land next one, so make sure that you keep in tune for that. You don't want to miss that one. I know you might not be at the point where you're buying land right now, but that'll be a really awesome thing for you to be able to go and actually see what somebody is going to look at in land so that you're prepared when you do decide to buy land if that time ever comes. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know that we were going over Mechs and Dusks a lot more than we did Dawns, but as I said, not a whole lot to say about Dawns, so I hope that this episode was really informative for you. If you did like the video, of course, make sure to give us a like. Make sure, if you haven't yet as well, subscribe and turn on notifications. I've got lots of videos coming out, and we are so close to that 1,000 subscriber giveaway and special videos, so let's pump up those subs. I think we're like about 920, 80 more, and we've got that 1,000 subscribers. You guys are going to love what I have planned for the giveaway, and I think it's just in time with another thing I have going on the side. I let you guys know I have lots of things in the works right now. I don't want to talk too much about it just because I don't want to be talking about things that aren't finished and finalized. But there is a lot coming. I'm working with the MTTM team, and we are going to make some big waves. So again, that's just more reason for you guys to be subscribed and have notifications turned on. So when those videos come out and we do these giveaways and these special announcements, you are first to the block and you know exactly what's going on. That all being said, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Once again, it's a pleasure to have you here with me. Marketplace Mondays seem to be very popular. I'm going to keep doing them. And until next time, so take care.